and welcome. I'm Ijoma Onyato. Tonight, it's good news for Nigeria as Minister of Finance Kemi Adeosun reveals that the country is getting out of recession. Lawmakers on the offensive. House committee summons Finance Minister and Minister of Works over public procurement. Senate wants Transport Minister to appear over rail project. Tears and wailing in Osisa Delta State as community angry over the killing of 7 indigents by suspected Fulani herdsmen. And soldiers in Côte d'Ivoire accept deal to end the 5-day mutiny.
On business news tonight, Nigeria's former president Olusegun Obasanjo commends Africa Finance Corporation for its infrastructure interventions.
While on sports news, with 6 days to the start of the season 9 of the channel's National Kids Cup, the competition receives the endorsement of the Kaduna State government.
And from Abuja, FG again amends charges against Justice Sylvester Anguta, reintroduces accusations already removed from the first charge sheet.
We begin with an assurance from Nigeria's Finance Minister, Mrs. Kemi Adeosun, that after about 7 months in recession, the economy is recovering from what she describes as a temporary economic setback. Mrs. Adeosun was speaking today at a mid-town hall meeting in Abuja, where she announced measures being taken by the government to block wastage, increase GDP, and embark on a single-window project execution. The Minister of Information and Culture, Mr. Lai Mohammed, also used the occasion to highlight the efforts of the federal government at curbing corruption and providing security.
This year was really about stabilizing the economy, and I'm very happy that we're beginning to see the signs of recovery. Now, as we move forward, we will begin to grow because we are putting the instruments and the needed structures in place for growth. This economy has huge potential. We have potential in agriculture, we have potential in solid minerals, we have potential in manufacturing, we can make our own clothes, we can make shoes, we can do so much in this country. But what's been missing has been the enabling infrastructure. The cost of doing business is so high. And of course also the way in which we do business, and I'm sure the Minister of Trade and Industry and Investment will talk about that, the ease of doing business. We make it difficult for people to start businesses. He's working very hard on that. But in the Ministry of Finance, as we go forward, our focus now is going to be more on revenue. We borrowed quite a lot last year. We don't want to borrow as much. We want to look at revenue sources. So we're blocking leakages. I want to just tell you that it's looking a lot better than it did this time last year, and it's going to get better. Nigeria is coming out of the recession, and we're going to come out much stronger so that the 36 states all contribute, because every single state is viable. Every state has some form of viability. And we have the right type of young people, energetic people, entrepreneurial people. What government wasn't doing was supporting them with the right infrastructure and conditions, and that's what this government is correcting.
We have taken on corruption at its core. There are more prosecutions and there will be more convictions for public sector corruption than Nigeria has ever witnessed. We've acted to address the leakages in government, spending that make corruption possible. Through the zero-based budgeting and the Treasury Singles account, the government efficiency unit, and the hugely successful whistleblower policy, we have restored sanity.
Meanwhile, for the second time in 2 days, the Finance Minister has been summoned by the House of Representatives Committee on Procurement and ordered to appear before it unfailingly on May the 23rd. Also summoned is the Minister of Power, Works and Housing, Babatunde Fashola. This follows the failure of Mrs. Adeosun to appear before the committee after the summons was issued on the first day of an investigative hearing into allegations of violation of Public Procurement Act. Our correspondent Larry Lasisi reports.
One to the resolution of the House.
It's the second day of this investigative hearing being conducted by the House Committee on Public Procurement. The committee is looking into allegations of violation of the Public Procurement Act in the engagement of contractors for pre-shipment inspection and monitoring of crude oil and gas exports. exports. The hearing commenced without the Minister of Finance, who was summoned by the committee the day before for failing to appear. The chairman of the committee informs those gathered that the minister says she will appear in the course of the day's session. The central bank is then invited to make its presentation.
The next technical committee is not involved in the selection process of the PIAs and the monitoring and evaluation agents. 2, inadequate communication, no directive on the appointment, renewal of PIAs and MEAs, despite their continuous services.
When the committee heard that the National Petroleum Investment Management Services is yet to disburse $20 million meant for the 2016 budget, it seeks to know the whereabouts of the funds.
It's not in NAPU, sir. That's what I wanted to let you know. This money is in Central Bank. It has always been Central Bank. It's Federation account money.
Central Bank.
Well, I can't confirm that at this point. I can't confirm because there are many accounts and I cannot confirm whether this money was transferred.
The committee also heard from other government agencies, and for one member, everything points at one direction.
So it goes back to Ministry of Finance. Procurement.
The House then arrives at this resolution.
That the Honourable Minister of Finance, Honourable Minister for Works, Housing and Power, that both of them should cause appearance on Tuesday by 10 a.m. unfailingly.
The committee says it is determined to ensure that government policies are implemented for the benefit of the country, and if need be, the relevant legislations will be amended to ensure that this is done. Lanre Lasese, Channels Television News.
And there are more summons from the National Assembly. This time it's the Minister of Transport who's been ordered to appear before the Senate to explain the proposed China Exim Bank loan for rail development in the country. The invitation to Mr. Chibuike Amechi is coming after a federal lawmaker, Senator Naya Abaribe, complained that the railway development loan does not cover the eastern part of the country. Our correspondent Linda Akigbe reports.
On April 26 this year, the federal government presented a formal request to the National Assembly to approve a loan of $5.8 billion from China Exim Bank to modernize rail lines in some parts of the country. The areas listed for the modernization include Lagos-Kano, Kano-Kaduna, Lagos-Ibadan, and Lagos-Calabar rail segments. But a federal lawmaker, Senator Naya Abaribe, at plenary complained that sections of the rail line which the loan is being sought for does not extend to the eastern part of the country.
The Senate notes that the eastern section of the rail segment, which has a link between the southeastern and the northeastern parts of the rail line, is completely excluded from this request.
But the chairman of a Senate Committee on Land Transport faulted the information presented by Senator Abaribe.
When the Buhari government came in, the idea of providing rail infrastructure as approved initially from Lagos to Calabar and Lagos to Kano took into cognizance Aba and Onitsha, and I will allow you to give you the route. The Lagos to Kano and Calabar to Lagos railway project covered all the geopolitical zones.
Meanwhile, at a separate meeting with the Senate Committee on Local and Foreign Debts, the Minister of Finance gave some clarification on the loan for the railway project.
You'll recall that last year we sent in a global borrowing plan, which was around $29 billion, which included the entire federation. But the advice we were given, the feedback we were given from the Senate, was that we should break it down into smaller portions so that detailed analysis could be done.
Going forward, this committee would be meeting with the Minister of Transport, Mr. Rotimi Amechi, as directed by the Senate, to get more information on the loan for the railway project and also clever air on the exclusion of the eastern corridor of rail lines from the proposed China Exim Bank loan. Linda Akibe, Channels Television News.
Well, let's take a look at the infrastructure gap in the country, and for the acting president, Professor Yemi Osinbajo, the best way to go is relying more on the private sector. He was speaking at a meeting organized by the African Finance Corporation in Abuja. Professor Osinbajo says funding from both the private sector and the international corporations will address the problem of poor infrastructure.
Issues of infrastructure deficit in Africa is not a new topic. It has continued to generate debates on how best to fix the challenges. The continent, which is home to 15% of the world's total population, has poor roads, lack of potable water, energy, and good hospitals.
To Rwanda.
This meeting, organized by the African Finance Corporation, offers government officials and finance experts an opportunity to reappraise their contribution towards meeting these needs.
All of what we require, all of what is needed, will not be provided just by governments. As a matter of fact, it is very clear that governments cannot finance the huge infrastructure needs of most countries.
The president of the African Finance Corporation gives an account of interventions made by the institution across Africa to meet its infrastructural needs in the last 10 years.
We have invested over $2.5 billion in projects in various countries across Africa.
Government officials from some African countries speak on the dire need of infrastructural development in their countries and some actions taken to fix the problem.
We inherited a situation where only 10% of budgetary spend was on capital and 90% was recurrent. And that was really making our infrastructure deficit, it was widening the infrastructure deficit. And so the first thing we had to do was to ensure that government itself spends at least 30% of its budget on infrastructure.
It has been estimated that about $100 billion will be needed annually to provide infrastructure for the African people. With words of commitment from government officials and international corporations, there just might be hope of fixing the infrastructure deficit in the continent, which is key to its socio-economic development.
It was tears and anguish in Osisa community in Ndokwa East local government area of Delta State, where 7 persons have been reportedly killed by rampaging Fulani herdsmen. The latest attack has compelled the governor, Dr. Ifeanyi Okowa, to order the immediate deployment of police to the area.
Distraught residents of Osisa community in Delta State wailing over the gruesome murder of their husbands and sons by suspected Fulani herdsmen. Men and youths chant words demanding the immediate ban and outright withdrawal of herdsmen who, according to them, have made farming and life unbearable. Just 4 days ago, 7 people were killed after suspected herdsmen attacked their community. The governor, Ifeanyi Okowa, is in the community to commiserate with the residents who take turns to narrate their ordeal.
Don't know what to do. Look at the youths. They're all lying. No job. We have been pursuing them. Go to the farm so that you can get something. But each time you go to the farm, the Fulanis will pursue you back with their guns.
Now it's no longer a case of let us live. It was a choice to make between death and life. You don't expect people that are with cutlass to go against people that are with sophisticated weapon of AK-47 rifle and atomic bomb. I am an eyewitness to what I am saying. So for how long will we be in this danger of the people that are not even in common boundary with?
Worried by the development, Governor Okowa promises to deploy policemen to the community to checkmate the menace of herdsmen. But this is not enough assurance to the people.
We are going to send a detachment of mobile policemen to stay with the community and to, at the moment, until we have the communique that have recently in Abuja, there was a meeting involving traditional rulers and many persons with the Inspector General of Police. And certain decisions have been taken.
The peace in Delta State in recent times has been disturbed by the alleged killings by herdsmen, with frequent clashes between them and local farmers in the state. This appears to have become a huge challenge, one that the state government insists the federal government must come up with solutions to.
In part two, after the break, Lagos governor wields the big stick, sends vehicle inspection officers packing from the city's streets. That's in a moment. Do stay with us.